Title: Starbound Across the Tundra by Isaac Petrov. Prologue: The Frozen Prelude. The Arctic didn't forgive weakness. It swallowed it whole and moved on. Moyra Gallagher trudged alone through the black stretch of highway carved into northern Canada's frozen guts. A rusted sign half buried in a snowbank read Highway 11, but the letters were pitted and ghostly like everything else around here. The auroras swirled overhead like a sick joke. Neon beauty smeared across the sky while the cold bit into her flesh with the precision of a bone saw. Her boots were soaked through, her fingers swollen and red beneath mitts that had seen better decades. She'd eaten the last protein bar 2 days ago, and the vodka in her flask had long since turned to ice. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew what she'd left behind. 32. Burned out freelance journalist. One failed relationship too many, and a bank account that now showed a proud balance of $12.34. Perfect time for a fucking soul-searching trip. Each breath came out in ragged clouds. Her limbs felt heavier by the hour. But stopping meant dying. And dying wasn't on her agenda. Not yet. A low hum vibrated across the ice. She froze, one boot mid-step, heart clenching. Headlights. They carved through the dark like twin scalpels. For a split second, she considered hiding. Then she realized she didn't care. If it was a predator, fine. She was done being prey. The car was a gleaming anachronism, vintage, black as sin, humming like a beast freshly fed. It slid to a slow stop beside her. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a man with a face too symmetrical to trust. Need a ride? His voice was soft velvet. Smooth. Too smooth. If you're planning to murder me, get on with it. If I were, I'd have offered hot cocoa first. She stared at him. His eyes were unnaturally blue, almost glowing. He wore a tailored coat, a silver ring that caught the aurora light, and a grin that could have sold lies for a living. Still, the warmth seeping from the open car door was enough to make her knees weaken. Screw it. She climbed in. The heat wrapped around her like sin. She closed the door behind her, and the wilderness vanished with a soft click. The tires bit into the frost. The car rolled forward. She had no idea what she'd just gotten into. But hell, what else was left? Chapter 1: The Passenger. The hum of the car's engine was too perfect, surgical, calculated. Moyra sat rigid in the passenger seat, thawing out by inches, her fingers twitching as they came back to life with fiery pinpricks. She risked a glance at the driver. You've got the look of someone running from something. He didn't ask if she was okay. Smart. She wasn't. Her lips were cracked, her eyes bloodshot, and she stank of desperation and unwashed socks. The kind of woman nobody picked up unless they were looking for something, or already knew who she was. Or maybe I'm chasing something. Depends who's asking. Ilian? Just Ilian. His fingers tapped the wheel in rhythm with the subtle synth hum coming from the car's sound system. Something old and analog, like a heartbeat from another time. What kind of name is Ilian? Old. Foreign. Not from around here. She watched his profile. Perfect cheekbones. No stubble. No real wrinkles. Too smooth. Too symmetrical. Not real. She tried not to let it show. Didn't want him thinking she was scared. She wasn't. Not anymore. Whatever he was, she'd met worse in downtown Toronto during her years covering gang murders and sex crimes for indie tabloids. So what brings a sharp-dressed man to the Arctic Circle in a car that looks like it time-traveled out of a 1960s Bond movie? Observation. Of what? Humanity. He didn't laugh, didn't wink, just let the word hang there like smoke in a sealed room. Right? Let me guess. CIA? KGB? One of those weird private surveillance firms who use TikTok trends to predict global unrest? Worse. Moyra turned in her seat, eyes narrowed. What do you mean worse? I'm not from here. Not from this planet. I'm what your government calls a Type 4 contact scenario. Only I didn't crash. I came here on purpose. She stared. No punchline came. No smirk. No delusional twitch. He meant it. And why the hell would a being from another planet come to this ice-covered hellhole? Because the real truths aren't in your cities. They're in the places you've abandoned, in the people you forget, the lost, the hungry, the ones with nothing left to lose. Something about that struck her harder than it should have, because that was her, a forgotten piece of a life no one remembered to mourn. The car slid down the icy road like a ghost on rails. Outside, the auroras screamed across the sky, burning green veins of plasma writhing above the earth. Inside, silence returned, heavy, loaded. So what now? Now you help me, because you already stepped into it, Moyra Gallagher. And they're coming. Who's they? The ones who want to keep the truth buried, the ones who kill to maintain the illusion. Behind them, two distant pinpricks of light began to grow, slowly, deliberately. Taillights? No, headlights, gaining. And just like that, the hunt began. Chapter 2, Cold Fire, Hot Pursuit. The rearview mirror told no lies. Whoever they weren't here for sightseeing. Two black SUVs, no headlights now, just the faint glint of motion under the starlit sky. Silent, precise, predatory. Friends of yours? Hardly. Moira's instincts kicked in, not journalist instincts, survival ones. The same reflexes that had gotten her out of a South Sudanese riot and away from a stalker ex who'd once handcuffed her to a radiator. She reached into her coat, just instinct, but there was nothing there. No weapon, no plan, just cold sweat. What the hell did you drag me into? You climbed into the car. I didn't force you. Don't get noble on me now, spaceboy. You said they're coming for you. That makes this a shared fucking problem. The car surged forward, Elian's fingers tightening on the wheel. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. He knew they were closing in. They're not local, not RCMP, not military. They don't play by laws. They disappear problems. Disappear aliens? Or anyone who gets close? Yes. The windshield wipers dragged a screech across the glass as snow began to fall, hard, thick flurries blinding the horizon. Moira leaned forward, knuckles white, breath fogging the dashboard. A road sign flashed past. Coldstream, 42 kilometers. They weren't going to make it. So what, we just run until we crash? We run until we don't have to. The first gunshot ripped through the silence like a whip. A crack, then a thud, metal to metal. The rear window spiderwebbed, chunks of glass raining into the back seat. Jesus, they're shooting at us? That's how they say hello. The second SUV came up alongside them, black windows, no plates. The barrel of a rifle slid from the passenger side. Do something! Elian's hand slid under the dash, flicked a switch Moira hadn't seen. The car's engine gave a mechanical growl and surged with unnatural speed, pinning her to the seat. What the hell did you just... Something not in your science books. The SUV swerved to follow, but lost traction. It spun out, tires carving a path into the drifts as its lights disappeared into the blizzard. One down. This isn't a car, is it? It's a lifeboat. The second SUV was still behind them, gaining. A flare shot from its grill, glowing green, arcing into the sky. It wasn't a signal flare. It was a tracker. They'd never outrun it now. You said you weren't supposed to be seen. Why now? Why here? Because I saw something I wasn't supposed to, and I didn't look away. Ahead, the road narrowed. A bridge, icy, thin, no guardrails, and then nothing but frozen lake and wilderness. If you're going to kill us, now's your chance. If I were going to kill us... The car hit the bridge at full speed. You'd already be dead. The tundra swallowed them, headlights vanishing into the storm. But the hunt wasn't over. It was just beginning. Chapter 3, Signals in the Snow. The bridge didn't collapse. Somehow the tires held. The car skidded across the narrow strip like a surgical incision through frostbite. Moira didn't breathe until they were back on solid road. And even then, her lungs felt tight, like someone else was holding the oxygen ransom. That tracker. We're tagged now, right? They know where we are, but they don't know what I'm carrying. Moira turned to him, searching his profile for something. Weakness, deception, anything to explain why she didn't throw open the door and roll out into the ditch. She found nothing. Just a man who didn't blink. Start talking. What exactly are you carrying? Proof. Enough to destabilize every major government on Earth. The words hit like black ice. Great. So now I'm not just freezing. I'm an accessory to planetary treason. No. You're a witness, and a liability to the people chasing us. Ahead, a light flickered. Then another. Elian slowed the car as they approached what looked like a derelict service station. Collapsed roof, frozen pumps, windows shuttered with sheets of rusted tin. But the glow wasn't from the building. It came from behind it. Faint pulses of blue and violet like a heartbeat under the snow. What is that? Elian said nothing. He opened the driver's door and stepped out into the snow, leaving the engine running. The moment he moved, the storm seemed to pause, like it was listening. Elian? No response. She followed him out, boots crunching through the hardpack. Her fingers gripped the car doorframe like a lifeline until she forced herself to let go. Behind the station, buried in a shallow drift, was something alien. The snow glowed around it, each flake lit from beneath. A rectangular slab of black glass, about the size of a briefcase, half exposed in the ice, pulsing softly. It survived. What the fuck is it? Think of it as a recorder or a transmitter, something that doesn't belong here. He placed his hand on the surface. The light flared white hot, and the air buzzed with invisible energy, like the sound of a migraine before it hits. Jesus, Elian, don't touch it. She stopped, not because he said so, but because something in her body knew not to go any closer. This is why they're chasing me. I stole the recording. It contains raw data of their first contact attempts and their failures. Some of them violent. The snowflakes hovered midair, suspended like dust motes in static. Then, what the hell was that? They found the signal. We have 2 minutes. They scrambled back into the car. The hum from the buried device didn't fade. It followed, like something alive had just woken up. What did that thing just do? It called something. And far, far above them, hidden in the auroras, a shape moved. Too fast, too quiet. Too large to be anything made on Earth. The road ahead narrowed again, and the sky was watching. Chapter 4, Contact. Approaching. The highway turned into little more than a cracked ribbon of frostbitten asphalt, hemmed in by snowbanks like white tombstones. Elian drove faster than was reasonable, the headlights slashing through the storm like knives. That thing back there, it wasn't just a beacon, was it? No, it was a signal flare across dimensions. Oh good, just what I needed. A fucking interdimensional bullhorn. They both heard it at the same time. A hum, not mechanical, not digital. It felt like pressure behind the eyes, like a migraine brewing in the spine. The sky above rippled. What is that? Something passed across the clouds. Silent, wide as a city block. No blinking lights, no engines, just a mass of shifting geometry, like someone had broken physics and stitched the pieces back together wrong. They found me. Is that your people? No. Moira's blood ran cold. Whatever was up there, Elian feared it. Pull over, hide, do something. If we stop, we die. They'll peel this car open like a sardine can. The storm intensified, but it wasn't natural. The snow began falling upward, flakes rising, spiraling, sucked into the air as if gravity had lost interest. The car began to tremble. Elian, hold on. He flipped another hidden switch. The engine's hum deepened to a metallic growl. The car jolted forward, wheels biting into the road like claws. A pulse of energy shot out from beneath them, cracking the pavement as they passed. The storm shattered, just for a second, then collapsed in on itself with a thunderous silence. They burst into a clearing, flat, frozen lake ahead. No road, just black ice under a white sky. There's no road. There doesn't have to be. The car didn't slow. It lifted, just enough. Skimming inches above the ice, skates of blue light under its frame now visible, arcs of foreign technology pulsing with alien rhythm. Okay, so you're not full of shit. I wish I was. Behind them, a beam of light struck the lake. No explosion, just silence. Where the beam touched, the ice melted instantly, then refroze into a mirror that reflected something not of this world. It's not just after you, it's scanning me too. You've seen too much. You're contaminated now. Something above them let out a low, guttural sound, like a whale song twisted through a meat grinder. They reached the far edge of the lake. The car dropped, tires biting into the crust as the lift system powered down. Trees closed in on both sides. The thing in the sky vanished. Gone? No. It's circling. Watching. They drove in silence, and Moira realized something bone deep. She was part of this now, and there was no going back. Chapter 5. The Man Who Knew Too Much. By the time they reached the shack, the auroras had retreated behind a blanket of cloud, leaving only the dull orange haze of static, choked sky. The cabin sat alone at the edge of the forest, half-collapsed roof, boarded windows, no visible electricity. The kind of place where bad memories outnumbered furniture. This where your ally lives? Used to. Elian didn't knock. He walked straight to the door and placed his palm on the frame. Something buzzed beneath the wood, like a circuit waking up. The door clicked open. Inside, darkness. Then the sudden glow of red halogen lamps buzzing to life, and a shotgun pressed against Elian's chest. You've got some fucking nerve coming back here. The man behind the weapon was in his 60s, beard like steel wool, and one eye milked over from an old wound. He wore an old Canadian Forces jacket with the name patch ripped off, the kind of man who kept whiskey, secrets, and pain in equal supply. Nice to see you too, Walt. Bullshit. You swore I'd never see you again. You said you'd erase me. Well, this is warm. Walt's eyes flicked to her, shotgun still raised. Who the hell is she? A witness. She knows. She's already marked. Then you've just signed her death warrant. Walt lowered the gun, but only slightly. He motioned them inside with a sneer. The cabin smelled like oil, sweat, and old coffee filters. A workbench along one wall was covered in tech, military radio equipment, stacked hard drives, unrecognizable tools that hummed with alien signatures. What is all this? Leftovers from the last time your boyfriend tried to save the world. That's not what this is. It never is, Ilian, but the blood says otherwise. The tension between them was old and ugly. Moyra sat on a milk crate, her eyes scanning the walls. There were maps with red lines, photos pinned to cork, satellite shots, surveillance stills, grainy glimpses of vehicles that didn't belong. She saw her own face on one. You've been tracking me. You popped up on every frequency north of Yellowknife. You don't hitchhike with a fucking alien without ringing some alarms. Good to know my freezing death march was a group activity. You got lucky. Most don't. People get too close to a lion. They end up inside metal bags with no fingerprints left. Enough. A lion stepped forward, grabbing a small silver case from under the bench. He opened it, revealing a cube of shimmering material, pulsing with silent data. This is why I'm here. We don't need philosophy, we need encryption. You still trust me with this? I don't have the luxury of doubt. Walt took the cube, his hand trembling slightly. He slid it into a reader wired to half a dozen ancient laptops and a humming alien tablet. Lights flared. Data streamed across every screen, too fast for human eyes. Then, one screen turned black. Letters began to appear. Intercept detected. They are already inside. What the hell does that mean? It means we've got about 60 seconds before someone makes this place disappear. Out the back, now. Walt grabbed a go bag. Moyra snatched a hunting knife from the table. No one questioned it. They burst through a rotted pantry door and into the snow. Behind them, the cabin began to hum, an unnatural vibration from deep underground. Then, the shack folded inward. No fire, no debris. Just a soundless implosion, like space had hiccuped and swallowed the building whole. Holy shit! That was your tech, Elian. They've upgraded. They ran into the tree line. No time for grief, no time for doubt. Just questions, just heat, just running. Chapter 6, The Burned Map. They didn't stop running for nearly half a mile. Snow soaked their legs, branches clawed at their faces, and the sound of nothing, that unnatural vacuum left by the cabin's annihilation, hung in the air like a curse. They only stopped when Walt collapsed against a moss-covered boulder, gasping. I knew they'd come back, but not like that. Was that a weapon or a warning? Same difference. Walt pulled off his glove and dug into the lining of his coat. From a hidden inner seam, he produced a flash drive, warped slightly from heat. The plastic casing was melted along one side. I pulled one file before the whole system fried. Barely had time to see it. What was on it? A map, sort of. A star map? No, a burial map. Moira's stomach dropped. There was something about the way Walt said burial that chilled her more than the wind ever could. I've seen fragments before. Back when I was in NORAD, we picked up weird ground-penetrating radar anomalies all across the Canadian Shield. Deep, unnatural structures. We thought it was Russian. Or maybe old Nazi bunkers. Let me guess, it wasn't. Walt nodded. This map pointed to one of them, under a frozen lake near Great Bear River. The data had coordinates, lat long, and a label. Just one word. Not in English. What word? Ninthalvek. Moyra felt it like static behind her eyes. Not a word, a sound, a vibration that made her molars ache. What does it mean? It's one of their words, the old ones. Pre-contact, the species we don't talk about. Wait, what do you mean species we don't talk about? You said you were here to observe humanity, not dig up Lovecraftian nightmares. I was, but the truth is buried deeper than politics or contact protocols. There are things even my people are scared to disturb, things your government's already tried. The wind died down. Everything went still. And in that silence, a sound rose from beneath the snow. A low groan, deep, mechanical, but organic somehow, like something stirring in its sleep. You feel that? Yeah, I wish I didn't. They all turned toward the west, toward the lake that Walt's burned drive pointed to. It wasn't just coordinates anymore. It was an invitation. and something was waiting. Chapter 7, Buried Below. The lake appeared at dawn, a dead gray sheet beneath a churning sky. It stretched across the landscape like an open wound, motionless, forgotten, and waiting. They stood at the shore, breath pluming, faces pale. That's it, right there, GPS confirms. It looks wrong. She was right. The snow didn't settle here. Wind patterns around the lake looped in unnatural spirals as if something below was breathing. The readings are distorted. Electromagnetic flux is off the charts. There's movement under the ice. Movement. Great, that's what I wanted to hear. Walt unpacked a portable drill and a reinforced thermal probe. It looked military grade and well used. While he set up, Elian stood still, one hand pressed against his temple, like he was listening for a frequency just beyond human range. You okay? No. Walt activated the drill. The whine bit into the silence, echoing across the flat. Moyra stared at the ice. She swore she saw shapes beneath it, shadowy, shifting, like something massive circling just out of sight. Then the drill bit cracked. What the hell? A thin line splintered outward from the hole. Not a crack, a pattern. Intricate, angular, glowing faintly from beneath. That's not ice. That's a fucking door. Not a door, a seal, and it's failing. The wind picked up again, but it wasn't cold. It was hot, dry, electrical, like desert air blowing through a dead room. Then the sound came, a resonance deep in the bones, not noise, more like memory, an ancient, oppressive pressure pressing down on their skulls. Shit, it's broadcasting. A lion stepped forward, hand outstretched, eyes wide, not in fear, in recognition. They locked it away, a long time ago, buried it here, not because it was dead, but because it wouldn't die. What the fuck is it, Elian? Beneath the ice, something shifted. A black coil, massive, slid just beneath the surface. No eyes, no limbs, just motion, mindless. Or maybe waiting for a mind to find it. It's not a machine. It's not alive. It's both. A bioconstruct from the early wars. It's older than human civilization. And we just woke it? No, Moyra, we didn't wake it. Someone already did. A burst of static crackled in Elian's ear. It sees you. The ice exploded upward in a geyser of steam and fractured snow. A black tendril burst into the sky, writhing, impossibly long, wrapped in pulsating ridges like a spinal cord turned inside out. It slammed down, barely missing them, carving a trench in the ice. Run! They ran. Across the cracking lake, toward the tree line. The world behind them roared, ancient, mechanical, and vengeful. It wasn't just a seal they'd broken. It was the start of something far worse. Chapter 8. The Thing That Remembers. The trees swallowed them. Snow clung to their clothes like ash, and the light filtering through the pine canopy felt wrong, like a sun that didn't belong here. Not in this century, not on this planet. They didn't speak. Couldn't. The air itself was too thick with pressure, like grief. Then it began. Why are we back in Toronto? She wasn't running through a forest anymore. She was at Union Station. Fluorescent lights buzzing, coffee in her hand, headphones in, rushing toward a deadline she'd already missed. Moyra! Focus! What? The trees snapped back into place around her like a broken frame reassembling. The thing beneath the lake wasn't chasing them with claws. It was using memory, digging through their minds, excavating traumas, rearranging truths. The past? Weaponized. I'm hearing voices. Dead voices. You left us behind, Walt. Walt dropped to his knees, clutching his ears. Blood trickled from one nostril. Elian knelt beside him, pulled something from his jacket, a thin metal shard, jammed it into the back of Walt's neck. The shaking stopped. What the hell was that? Cognitive firewall. Old tech. Blocks mnemonic interference. You'll need one too. He held up a second shard. Moyra didn't flinch. She just bared her neck and gritted her teeth. Do it. The pain was white hot, a static scream inside her skull. Then silence. Real silence. And with it, clarity. It's not trying to kill us. Not yet. It wants to assimilate us, piece by piece, memory by memory, until we forget we were ever human. How the hell do you fight something like that? You don't. You either outrun it, or you find its anchor. Moyra turned to look behind them. The woods were still, but something was watching. And she realized it wasn't just in her head, it was in her. Chapter 9, Anchor Point. The truck they'd stolen from a logging site was old, diesel, and loud. Every gear shift sounded like metal screaming. It was perfect. No onboard GPS, no network connection. Analog, obsolete, invisible. It took them 13 hours to reach the foothills of the Yukon. By the time they saw the rusted perimeter signs, snow was falling again. Anchor point, NORAD Site Echo 7. It was decommissioned in 96, officially. And unofficially, it went black. I helped wire the damn place. If the map fragment was right, there's a comm server inside with logs dating back to the early 80s, including Project Voicefall. That mean anything to you? Yes, but I didn't think your species had survived it. The compound was barely visible under layers of snow and years of rot. What once had been fences and sensor towers were now just skeletal metal bones poking through the ice. They approached the concrete bunker entrance. A lion reached for the keypad beside the blast door. The power was dead. He didn't hesitate. He placed his palm against the panel. The system lit up, dim red, faint, but alive. The door hissed open. You're like a walking EMP keycard, only when the system still remembers what I am. Inside, the air was cold and dry. The walls were layered with old tech, CRT monitors, analog switches, thick cables twisted like vines. Emergency lights flickered to life as they passed. Walt found the server room. He yanked open a rusted cabinet and jammed the half-melted flash drive from earlier into an ancient terminal. The system stuttered. Spat noise. Then, Project Voicefall. Initiated access code. What the hell is Voicefall? Classified as a reverse containment protocol for non-physical incursion. It means your people didn't just try to contain the thing under the lake. They tried to speak to it. You mean communicate? No. Invoke. Walt scrolled through fragmented logs. The text was broken, flickering. But one thing stood out. A transmission dated March 3rd, 1984. Translated audio fragment. We see you. We remember your form. Return to the fold. Then the log cut off, and the lights died. Was that the entity? No, that was us. That was what we used to be. Somewhere deep in the corridor, a door slammed. A second later, footsteps. Slow, wet, heavy. We're not alone. They backed away from the console. The hallway ahead rippled like heat off asphalt. A figure stepped into view. Human-shaped, but blurred. Skin like melted wax. Eyes too large. Face shifting. Like it couldn't remember what it was supposed to be. It opened its mouth. You are already archived. Elian, what is that? It's what happens when you listen too long. The lights blew out one by one, and something screamed, not with sound, but through memory, like your childhood pet dying again, like a lover leaving, like everything you ever forgot coming back at once. Run! Chapter 10, Downstream. The service tunnels were narrow, concrete and slick with condensation. Each footstep rang out like a pistol shot. Somewhere behind them, the thing in the hallway wasn't chasing. It was following. Where the hell do these lead? Maintenance runoff. Used to drain out under the western ridge. If it hasn't collapsed, it'll take us to the river. The ceiling lowered. Pipes hung like broken ribs. Moyra ducked. Elian moved slower than usual. He was bleeding. A shallow wound across his side, black fluid staining the fabric of his coat. You're hurt. Not in a way your medicine can help. We don't have time for cryptic alien bleeding metaphors, Elian. Behind them, the air thickened. A pressure wave rolled through the tunnel, shaking dust from the ceiling. Lights flickered. Then, laughter. But not joy. Not even mockery. Recognition. The entity wasn't tracking them with eyes. It was using what they feared, what they regretted, what they wanted back. I just heard my father's voice. He's been dead 6 years. I heard my squad, yelling, trapped in the cave, from 92. It's rooting through you, sorting which pieces it wants. The passage forked. One side collapsed. The other, the narrow drain shaft Walt had mentioned, descended steeply, pitch black. This way. Stay low. But just before Moyra could follow, the wall beside her breathed, and from it something emerged. Not fully formed, just flesh. Pale, wet, human fingers reaching from the concrete as if someone were drowning in the stone itself. Then they grabbed Walt. No, get it off me! Walt! She grabbed his arm. So did Elian. But the wall didn't pull. It absorbed. Like hot wax, Walt's torso began to sink into the concrete, his bones crackling as matter rewrote itself. Don't let it use me, Elian. Don't let it wear me. I won't. He pulled a tiny device from his pocket, pressed it to Walt's chest. It beeped once, then turned red. Elian, what the fuck are you? The sound wasn't an explosion. It was a cut, a pop of silence. Walt was gone, and the wall stopped moving. You killed him, I spared him. They ran again, down the shaft, into the dark. The sound of water echoing somewhere ahead. Behind them, no footsteps, just the memory of Walt's voice already beginning to fade. And the thing that remembered, still listening. Chapter 11, The River Teeth. The tunnel spat them out onto a frozen riverbank, midday, but the light looked jaundiced, as if the sun was filtering through an old bruise. The air was warm, wrong warm, like the breath of something huge and buried. The river flowed, but it wasn't natural. It moved in pulses. That's not water. It was a neural stream, reactive memory fluid, some kind of atmospheric mimicry. You want to try saying that in English before I have a stroke? It records events, projects echoes, you step in it, it steps back. Moyra took a cautious step forward. The current rippled toward her like a dog catching a scent. The reflection in the water wasn't her, it was her younger self, 17, standing outside a courthouse, crying, still holding the coat she'd bought her brother for his last birthday, before he OD'd. She hadn't seen that coat in 15 years. Alian, this isn't just memory. It's pulling. It's testing. Seeing what breaks you. The reflection of young Moyra looked up and smiled. Then it opened its mouth. You let him die. No, that wasn't my fault. But you stopped answering his calls. Shut up! The river boiled where her voice hit it. Bubbles surfaced, black, oily, hissing. Then something rose, a shape, human-sized, composed entirely of water. But inside, teeth. Dozens of them. Spinning in slow orbit where a face should be. Ilian, what the fuck is that? A mimic, based on your emotional signature. It's not real unless you believe in it. I see it, I hear it, I smell its breath. Then stop believing it's stronger than you. Moyra turned, met the mimic's eyeless gaze. It hissed, dozens of voices twisted into one. She didn't run. She stepped into the river. You don't own me. You don't define me. The water screamed. Then it collapsed. The mimic shattered into droplets. The reflection vanished. The river went still. You just won your first neural duel. That's not common. I'm not common. They crossed the river, ankle-deep in truth, memory, and ghosts. But something new had shifted. The entity now knew Moyra's deepest scar, and it liked the taste. Chapter 12, The Whisper Crater. It took them 3 days on foot. They crossed broken tundra, an abandoned radar station, and a wind farm that still spun, despite the grid being long dead. Then they saw it. A vast hollow in the earth, miles wide. The ground folded inward like God had pressed his thumb into the crust and whispered, remember. That's not a crater. That's a scar. It's where it landed, or more accurately, where it was dropped. The pit pulsed faintly with heat. The snow around its rim had melted into dry, cracked mud, untouched by the cold. It was warm here, artificially warm. The air shimmered with static, like a memory waiting to be replayed. You're saying something fell from space, and it's still talking? No, it never spoke. Not in the way you understand. He knelt, pressed his palm to the earth. It listens, and it remembers. Perfectly. Moyra approached the edge of the crater. She could feel it now, too, deep vibrations, like a subsonic purr in her bones. She looked down. Nothing moved. And yet she heard something. A voice. Soft, intimate. Moyra, we can give him back. She froze. No. Just step forward, touch the dirt, say yes, and we'll open him again. Elian, it's using my brother. Don't engage. It's not him. It's never him. It's recorded pain, and it will wear his face until you break. The dirt at her feet shifted. A hand emerged. Thin, familiar, holding the same denim jacket her brother died in. Blood-stained, torn at the sleeve. Then the voice came again. You don't have to be alone anymore. Stop. She stumbled, fell to her knees. The earth beneath her was warm. Too warm. Like skin. Alian grabbed her shoulder. Get up, now you can't touch it. You can't let it in. She shoved the hallucination away, and the hand vanished. The heat dropped, but the voice didn't leave. It just got quieter, more patient. Why is it doing this? Because it's not a weapon. It's a library. It records civilizations through their grief. She turned to him. And how do you destroy a library like that? You don't. You bury it, and then you kill anyone who remembers where. Above them, the sky pulsed with green fire. The entity knew where they were now, and it was sending something back. Chapter 13, The Descent Directive. They made camp beneath a splintered rock shelf, the wind screaming over them like a dying animal. The crater still pulsed behind them, an open wound in the earth they couldn't close. Alian sat by the fire, staring into the flames like he was watching old friends burn. You're holding something back. Yes. Then stop. I've been chased, nearly erased, mind-fucked by rivers, and offered my brother's corpse by a talking crater. I think I've earned some honesty. Elian didn't look at her, just opened a worn leather pouch tucked under his coat and drew out a thin black device, smooth, rectangular. It shimmered faintly even without power. This is the directive. Let me guess. It's not a music player. It's a kill switch, designed by my people. If the entity becomes active again, this initiates a signal cascade across every latent fragment. It erases its memory field. Atom by atom. That's good, right? Isn't that what we want? It'll erase everything it's touched, everything it remembers. Moyra froze, because she understood. People, places, moments. Your brother, Walt, the version of you it's archived, all of it, scrubbed from the narrative of time. The directive doesn't just delete, it undoes. She stared at the device, sleek, silent, deadly, a data bomb for memory itself. How many people already carry pieces of it inside them? Thousands, maybe more. Governments, survivors, dreamers, anyone it touched. The directive sterilizes the truth. Moira's hands were trembling now. She wasn't sure if it was fear or rage. Why give this to me? Because I can't use it. My biology's too close to the source. It'll corrupt the signal. You dragged me into this, gave me trauma, then handed me the button to end it? No, Moyra. I didn't drag you in. It chose you. She stood, walked a few feet away, the device like lead in her hands. The sky above shimmered with unnatural stars, none of them real, all of them watching. Behind her, Elian spoke once more. You don't have to decide now, but you will have to decide. And beneath them, far below the earth, the whispering grew louder. The entity was preparing to rise. Chapter 14, The Rising Memory. The wind changed, not the temperature, not the pressure. The memory of the wind changed. Where there had been a westerly breeze, now there was stillness. Where the trees had leaned one way yesterday, now they leaned another. Reality wasn't breaking, it was editing itself. Elian, the ridge was over there. We crossed it this morning. But now it's behind us. You're not wrong. You're just before. Moyra touched her arm. Her watch was gone. She hadn't taken it off. She couldn't remember what it looked like. Then she was on a rooftop in Toronto, holding a glass of whiskey. Her editor screaming at her over a missed deadline. Except she hadn't worked for that editor in 6 years. And the rooftop? It had burned down in 2019. She gasped. The scene collapsed. Back to snow. Firelight. Elian staring at her. It's inside me now, isn't it? It's not just waking, it's broadcasting. Global transmission, memory frequencies, anything recorded, digital, organic, doesn't matter. It's rewriting us from the inside out. They turned on the satellite receiver Walt had stashed in the go bag. The feed flickered to life, buzzing through encrypted channels. News anchors screamed static. Cities stuttered like buffering video. Whole towns forgotten by the network in mid-sentence. One scroll bar read, "Breaking. Entire city of Halifax missing from all GPS systems. Locals deny it ever existed." It's rewriting the world map. First it archived, now it edits. Moyra tried to remember her mother's maiden name. She couldn't. Not just blank, gone, as if it had never existed. Elian, it's cutting pieces out of me. What happens if I lose too much? You'll still be here, but you'll belong to it. The trees around them blurred for a second, stretched upward like tape and fast forward, then snapped back. A glitch in perception, or maybe in time. I want this to end. Then you know what that means. She looked down at the directive in her hand, the memory nuke, the price of activation, herself. I don't care if I'm erased, but if I go, it has to go with me. Elian nodded once, and the sky, bloated with stars that didn't exist, began to hum. The entity was fully awake, and the clock was melting. Chapter 15, Signal Extinction. No more wind, no sound. The crater no longer pulsed. It waited. Moyra stood at its edge, the directive clenched in her fist like a last breath. Elian remained behind, out of reach now. This was her path, alone. The earth beneath her boots whispered as she walked, not in words, in regret. I remember my brother's voice. I remember his laugh, his stupid jacket, the one with the elbow patches he insisted made him look academic. As she descended, the temperature rose. Below her, the crater's center shimmered. Not molten rock, but memory, liquid consciousness, raw and tangled. It moved like thought. From within it came a voice. You don't have to end, you just have to change. I've already changed. You took my edges, my certainty, you peeled my past like wallpaper. And yet, you're still here. The directive pulsed in her palm now, warm, ready. She could feel its power, one command away from obliteration. We can keep your pain. Catalog it. Let it sing to others. Your brother, Walt, your fear, your fire, it can mean something. It already means something, because it ends. She stepped into the pool. The surface didn't break. It accepted her. Memories surged, her brother calling her at 3 a.m., her first front-page story, her almost suicide at 24, her mother's voice saying, "You've always been the storm, Moyra." And then silence. She raised the directive. "I'm not the storm. I'm the pause between them." She activated the device. The light was not light. It was erasure. Not fire. Not destruction. Silencing. From every satellite, every recording, every recollection. The entity screamed, not with pain, but with loss. For the first time in its existence, it forgot, and Moyra Gallagher never existed. Elian stood at the crater's edge. No hum, no glow, just silence. The directive was gone, so was Moyra. He turned, walking into the frozen dusk. There would be other entities, other threats, but never another Moyra Gallagher. Because some sacrifices don't echo, they vanish, and that is why they matter. The end. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends about my listening library.